Is the Evounic gaming PC desktop the right fit for you, or is it something you'd be better off passing on? Who will actually get the most out of a pre-built tower with an RTX 4060 and an i7-11700F, and who should keep looking at other options? And, for the average gamer who just wants solid performance without breaking the bank, does this machine deliver enough bang for the buck? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw the headline specs RTX 4060, i7-11700F, 16GB of DDR4, and a 1TB NVMe, I thought about the typical buying dilemma: do I spend a little more for a DIY build that I can tinker with, or do I hand over the hassle to a pre-built that promises everything out of the box? The hesitation isn't just about price, it's about the risk of ending up with a system that feels either underpowered for the next year's releases or over-engineered for today's titles. That's why I wanted to break down exactly where the value lives in this particular box and where the hidden trade-offs might bite you later. First off, the core of any gaming PC is how it handles the games you actually sit down to play. With the RTX 4060 paired with the 11th Gen i7, you're looking at a sweet spot for 1080p and solid 1440p performance. In real-world tests, titles like Apex Legends and Valorant pushed well over 140 frames per second on ultra settings, meaning you can comfortably hit high refresh rates on a 144Hz monitor without tearing. For a more demanding experience, Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p with medium-high presets hovered around 70 FPS, smooth enough to enjoy the ray-traced visuals without stuttering. The 1TB NVMe SSD shaved seconds off load times. I saw Elden Ring launch from the desktop menu in under 3 seconds, a noticeable improvement over a traditional SATA drive. If you dabble in VR, the GPU meets the minimum 90 frames per second threshold for most headset titles, so you won't feel the nausea that a weaker card can cause. Now, who benefits most from this setup? If you're a casual gamer who wants to jump into modern titles without spending weekends building a rig, this machine is practically plug-and-play. The inclusion of Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.4 means you can connect a wireless headset, mouse, or even a VR headset without hunting for extra dongles. The ARGB fans add a touch of style, but more importantly they provide adequate airflow for the components as long as you keep the case in a well-ventilated spot. Streamers who need a reliable workhorse for both gaming and encoding will appreciate the Windows 11 Pro license, which includes Hyper-V and additional networking features that make multitasking a bit smoother. If you also edit video footage or run occasional productivity workloads, the 16GB of RAM and fast SSD give you enough headroom to keep things responsive. On the flip side, the machine isn't the best match for a few specific buyer types. If you're a hardcore modder or someone who plans to upgrade to a top-tier RTX 4080 or higher within the next year, you'll hit a ceiling. The tower only offers a single full-length PCIe slot, so there isn't room for a second GPU or a larger cooling solution without major modifications. The 16GB of RAM, while fine for most current games, can start to feel tight when you push high-resolution textures or run memory-hungry background apps while streaming. Users who are very price-sensitive might also find that buying the exact same components individually and assembling them could shave a few $100s off the total cost, especially if you already have peripherals like a monitor or keyboard. Practical strengths beyond the raw numbers show up in everyday usage. The pre-installed Windows 11 Pro comes activated, so you skip the Windows key purchase and the hassle of driver hunting. Everything from the GPU to the Wi-Fi adapter works out of the box. The Wi-Fi 6 module gives you a stable wireless connection even in a crowded apartment building, which is a subtle but real benefit when you're in a mid-match and the latency spikes. The ARGB fan array, while mostly aesthetic, runs at a decent noise level. Under load you hear a low hum rather than a whirring racket, which matters if you game late at night or record commentary. The case also has easy access panels, so swapping out the SSD for a larger one or adding a second stick of RAM isn't a nightmare, even though the overall upgrade path is more limited than a custom build. Weaknesses are mostly about the compromises that come with any pre-built. The power supply isn't listed in the marketing copy, and third-party reviews have noted it's a 450W unit, enough for the stock RTX 4060 but leaving little headroom for future GPU upgrades. That means if you ever decide to jump to a higher-tier graphics card, you'll likely need to replace the PSU as well, adding extra cost and effort. The case design, while attractive, isn't as spacious as some mid-tower alternatives, so cable management can become a bit messy if you ever open it up for upgrades. Lastly, the price point.